What's up, everybody? Welcome to the RDL show. I'm Ryan D. Leaf. I'll be joined shortly by Sky Glasgow, Jonathan Rifkin, and Charlie Moss, my cohorts here in crime. It's draft week. I got my vaccine shot yesterday, second one. So if I just inexplicably pass out or mumble or say something uh, unruly, we're going to blame it on COVID today. All right. I already did 3 hours of radio before the show today, and I made it through it, but didn't sleep great. Feel like I'm hungover, but how could I be hungover, right? I don't drink. So here we are. Draft week. Biggest week in the offseason for the NFL. Live again in Cleveland. My agents, I talked to my agents, they're going. They're wheeling and dealing. People are going to be there. The number one pick in the draft is not going to be there. We had this discussion a week ago about whether or not these players should be going, what they should do, how they should go about it with their families and whatnot. But I have a really interesting draft story. And mine was on a Saturday, back in the day where 4 rounds, I think, or 3 rounds were on Saturday and 4 rounds were on Sunday. And so we started, and it was in New York. And I knew I was going to be drafted second overall the night before. So I went to bed at about 9:30, really early, slept great. I woke up, went down, and had breakfast with my grandma, my grandpa, my family. There was about 30 or so family members at the event. For some reason, my dad's boss and his family somehow got invited on the trip. I get it. My dad, want to kind of butter up the boss. Say, hey, you want a trip to the NFL draft and watch my son get drafted second overall? Come along. I didn't really know him. I knew his kids, didn't really like his kids. So it was pretty awkward. I think my little brother was trying to hook up with their daughter. So maybe that worked out all right for him during that trip. But anyway, there was about 30 of us there. The whole family had like these styrofoam or foam lightning bolts. They were ready for me to be a Charger as well. But we're preparing to get on the bus to go. They're taking us all over there. So in the bus, there's Peyton Manning and his family, and there's Charles Woodson and his family. And there's a couple of these buses, and it's being held up because my little brother and my little cousin aren't there where they're supposed to be. And we can't find them. This is like the only chaos of the whole day for me when it came to the NFL draft. I knew I was going second. There was nothing to have to worry about or think about. This is just how it was going to go. It was going to be a pretty stress-free day. Just enjoy all the hard work. And I can't find my brother or my cousin. Turns out, as they come barreling on the bus about 15 minutes late, as we've held up everybody else on the bus, turns out they were running around getting themselves fake IDs. So that they got fake IDs. It was a great trip for them. It's an interesting story to tell. I tell it. My mom is incredibly embarrassed by it. I'm like, why not? I wonder how long they use those fake IDs for. Probably for the entirety until they turn 21. Who knows? But that was their draft story. That's my draft story. We walk in there. We go through the media process. You sit back in the green room. The Indianapolis Colts go on the clock. They take the 15 minutes to use their exposure for all their marketing. Announce Peyton Manning, University of Tennessee. Next up, the San Diego Chargers. They take the 15 minutes as well. It's not like they're deciding on whether or not to draft me. They just want to utilize that free media for 15 minutes all over ESPN. And at the end of those 15 minutes, they stood up at the podium and the commissioner said, the San Diego Chargers select quarterback, Washington State, Ryan Leaf. Absolutely the best day of my life, regardless of outcome of my career. Unbelievable to experience that with my family, for all the things they had sacrificed, drove me to, taking me to games, camps. I can't imagine, the sacrifices they had to endure. I'm about to with my own son here. So, and everything to come to fruition that day. And they take you through the media gauntlet. You talk to everybody, and then you roll off with the owner of the team, and you get on their private plane, and then you jet set across the country to the place where you're going to be. And we're on this plane, and Alex Spanos, who is the patriarch of the family, and his son Dean and his son John, I think, was with us. My dad, myself, and Lee Steinberg, our agent. And Alex is yelling, not really yelling, but he's kind of yelling at us. To Lee in particular, like, don't get this contract done. Don't be holding out. Don't be holding out. Get this done. I'm not going to be held hostage through this process. And I'm looking at my dad, like, where are we? What's going on here? We're just two country boys from Montana flying on a private plane for the first time across the country to go to a job that's going to pay me millions and millions of dollars to play football. Wow, what a day. Mr. Spanos pulls out a VHS tape of him and Bob Hope two-stepping and singing songs. It was surreal. It really was. We landed in Vegas for the night. A bunch of my buddies, my cousins, and good friends from Montana, I flew down to Vegas to just celebrate with me. Me and my best friends, who I grew up with, my college buddies, my uncles, and we all had a blast. We gambled a bunch. I didn't party really, just simply because I had to be up early to be at the press conference the next morning in San Diego. I got up, jumped on the plane with my dad, and away we went to San Diego and to the introductory press conference. And away we went. I went and looked at some real estate after the fact. One of my comments was, I look forward to a 15-year career with a couple Super Bowl parades downtown. What else would you say? That was the expectation. That was the goal when you draft a franchise quarterback, to do that. A lot of people look back on that comment and went, oh, how cocky. Oh, what was I supposed to say? Well, I don't know if we're going to be any good. I'm going to play hard, but you're picking me second overall, so the chances of us having a Super Bowl parade anytime soon is probably unlikely. No, you dream, and that was my dream, and that's the way it started. That was draft week for me. Not too many people can tell a story about that and what that looks like and how that was experienced. I can't remember how many drafts there are, but the number of number 2 overall picks is like, I don't know, how many drafts have there been, guys? 60, 70? I don't know. So I'm one of 70 guys. Pretty cool fraternity to be a part of. And I think for the longest time, I saw the draft as something toxic simply because of the emotions it brought up and the way people reacted. But I couldn't control anything that anybody else did. All I could control was how I viewed it. And it was an amazing day. My dream came true. The thing I wanted to do since I was a little boy that I wasn't supposed to do, right? The odds were so stacked against me. And I'm the only one ever. I'm the only one ever from the state of Montana who's been drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. There were no trailblazers. There are more first-round picks in the Manning family than the whole state of Montana ever. And I'm the only one. So I'm a complete success. I'm unbelievably grateful for what this day was for me 23 years ago. And I can't wait to see these young men experience that joy on Thursday night and on Friday night with their families. And again, celebrate with your families. Not necessarily with the NFL propaganda machine and the commissioner as they announce your name. Don't let them tell your story. You tell your story, just like I am right now. Let's welcome you to the show, everybody. Question of the day. Jonathan's here, Sky, and Charlie, like I talked about. Question of the day: should Madison Bumgarner's 7 innings of no-hit pitching be considered a true no-no? We have a very divided panel on this. In particular, our very vocal leader, Jonathan Rifkin.
I'll take it.
This will be a good conversation starter when we get to it down the line. So go ahead, everybody, answer in your comments. We'll get to that at the end of the show. Is Madison Bumgarner's 7-inning no-hitter against the Braves worth being considered in the record books as a no-hitter? It's recognized as a win in the win-loss column, but not as a no-no as of right now. So we'll discuss that a little bit later. Answer and tell us why. All right. Speaking of baseball, we talked about the Pods and the Dodgers last week, and because I went to the game Thursday night, right? And the Pods played exceptional. This game was played with 68 innings or something like that. I can't remember how many innings were played, and 49 of them were within one run. This was an exciting, entertaining series. San Diego Padres found out a way to win 3 or 4 of them. They had just been swept by the Milwaukee Brewers at home, and they go on the road against what people consider the best team in baseball. They're without Bellinger, of course, but win. And Fernando Tatis Jr. was exceptional. 5 home runs, 2 games where he hit 2 home runs in that game. Scored a bunch of runs, was always a part. Manny Machado, Eric Hosmer, who's the only guy over 300 in that lineup, and the pitching and defense was great. It really was. Yesterday they were down 7-1, and they found a way to battle back with 2 in the 7th, 2 in the 8th, 2 in the 9th, and then ultimately winning it in the 11th inning to take the series 3-1. This is going to be an entertaining rivalry moving forward. They don't play again until the end or middle of June. Let's see if they can continue to get up for games like they've got up for the Dodgers, or they play down to their competition. Sometimes that happens when you have kind of a run-of-the-mill team where they get up for the Dodgers, but like I said, at home get swept by the Brewers. What did you guys think of this series? I know a bunch of you watched it. It's the first time I've really paid attention to a lot of baseball. I went to the game Thursday, watched the game last night on ESPN. What do you think about this series and what it's going to look like moving forward?
It was playoff baseball. I mean,
yep.
When there was an opportunity, I know when it was 6-7 in the 8th, and Tatis came up with an opportunity to take the lead. I was thinking, how perfect would it be if Tatis said, "Oh no, Tatis came up with nobody on base, so he was the game tying run." And I was like, how perfect would it be if he jacked another homer to tie this thing up and set it to the bottom? He ended up getting on base, and he ended up being driven in as the game tying run to force extra innings. But just everything this guy does, like even when he gets out, it's smooth, it's calm, it's collected. He brings a fire and an energy that I think is infectious both on his own team, but also pisses the other team off into retaliation that makes them better also. And that's what Trevor Bauer was saying on social media the other day when he was asked about Tatis's antics on the field, right? And then you just go through, everybody works hard. They are not afraid to take risks. They steal they steal more bases than any other team in the league. And they're full of youth, right? And also, Ryan, you brought this
incredibly aggressive. Yeah, incredibly aggressive base runners. Yeah.
And they're developing each and every game. So yeah, they're 13-11 now, but it took 4 or 5 against the Dodgers, or 3 or 4 against the Dodgers, right? Like this is a series of proof of concept about this team now that they're back and they're healthy. Tatis is finally looking like himself again. I mean, he has home runs off of the Dodgers' best. He has home runs off of Kershaw, Bauer, and Bueller, and off of Dustin May. Like Dustin May was throwing heat last night. He had an 11 strikeout game, right? A 2-seamer on the outside corner was killer, and yet Tatis was still the only one really able to touch him. So the team is special. Dodgers, though, Max Muncy, he walked 5 times, right? 4 times?
Yeah. I think did he get 5?
Yeah, I think he was.
I don't know if he got a 5th one or not, but he got 4 for sure.
Yeah, I mean
he might have gotten the 5th.
His on-base percentage, his OPS, I don't know if you guys saw that graphic, it was like 1.262 or something. It was insane because he draws walks, he's super patient. That's indicative of this Dodger lineup. So they're like the Virginia offense in basketball. They're incredibly slow, but they're incredibly coordinated, and everybody knows what their role is in the batting lineup, and it translates to defense as well. So Dodgers are an impressive team. The Padres, though, they're just more exciting and explosive, and that paid dividends during the series.
I want to go to a point that you were talking about Trevor Bauer. I don't know if you guys saw, but when Tatis hit a home run off Bauer, he was kind of like poking fun at him, like put his hand over his eye because there was like an incident over spring training when Bauer was apparently throwing with only one eye. So like Tatis was trying to mock him, but something that I thought was pretty cool, we talked about pre-show, was Bauer said he likes that. Like, it's good for the game that there's some excitement. Like, if you hit a home run, you should let the pitcher know you hit a home run. You should be excited about it. So I think Bauer supporting that was like just pretty big, because a lot of the times pitchers get upset and they'll throw the ball at the batters next time around when they do that. So
just cranky old men in baseball. Okay, so I played in this match play golf tournament Saturday morning. All right, with our friend Kevin Connolly, and so this is an example of old cranky men. Okay, and Kevin pulled the cart up to the left, and and not in a straight line. So the people working at the golf course could not run by with the train of carts for the other members and everything like that. So I jumped in his cart and I pulled ahead of all the carts and just allowed the open space there. But as I was doing that, it was I don't know, it wasn't too close to the number one tee, but it was relatively close. And there was this old cranky Major League Baseball pitcher who doesn't like being shown up, and kind of threw a hissy fit.
Not allowed to get the name.
I don't know his name.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea what his name was. But he threw his arms up and was like, "Oh my God!" I just hitting her, and I kind of see it at the corner of my eyes. I'm walking back to my cart, and I look back at him, and I go, "Hey, dude, this ain't the fucking Masters. Go hit the ball." And that oh boy, he was done. He was done then, and he was just then started ranting and raving. And I'm sitting down in my cart eating my breakfast, and he just can't stop. Like, he's like, "You are a bad member. This is horrible. This is defeating like the etiquette of golf. I'm calling the pro shop." So he called security essentially. So the security comes up, or the pro shop head pro comes up, and he starts mouthing off a story. And Connolly, who's just been sitting watching this whole thing play out, goes, "Whoa! This guy is rewriting history. This is not at all how it went." And he went through the process, and I'm just sitting in the cart eating my food, and every once in a while I just, I'll just chill. I just go hit the fucking ball, dude. All right, that's all I kept doing. And this is an example of that, right? Like, you have these old pitchers that just don't like the new youth and fun of what baseball is about, and are the male version of Karens, I guess is the way to put it, right? So I don't know who he was. But he then had to hit in front of everybody. One of his playing partners came over to us after the fact and said, "Dude, we've been wanting to say that to him for years." And I'm like, "Well, why haven't you?" So apparently we picked on the right guy. Well, he topped the ball about 40 feet off the front in front of everybody. And I just said, "Oh, it's going to be a long day, pal. It's going to be a long day for you." So I'm imagining it was. I saw them walk off the course pretty early. So, can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. That's right. Don't let a guy hit a home run off you. As Ryan Clark puts it, don't let a guy score a touchdown on you. If you don't like him dancing in the end zone, don't let him score a touchdown on you. You don't like his antics after a home run, throw it by him. Don't let him hit him out of the park. All right? I don't know if that was really relatable, but I thought it was a funny ass experience this weekend. We'll put it that way.
I have one question about that story, Ryan.
What's that?
What were you eating for breakfast?
Egg whites, peppers, and homemade sausage.
From where though? From like specific.
Sunfair, everybody. Sunfair, delicious home delivered meals from Sunfair. If I wasn't eating it at the time, maybe it would have resulted in some fisticuffs. And we're not about violence here on this show at all. We're all about peace talks. Though I will point out things when they are true. Sunfair, personalized delivered healthy meals. Go to sunfair.com. and put in all your information. Click on Carl Farrow as your sales representative. Then click on the Ryan D. Leaf Show on how you heard about it. You'll get 10% off your first order. Anybody in the LA and Phoenix area, eat these meals. I guarantee you it's all about the food. For the last year, I have done nothing but play golf, walk around my house in the neighborhood here, and eat the different food. I have not worked out one bit, and you can see the transformation in my body simply because of the food and the fuel I'm putting in it. Sunfair.com. Go there now. Sign up. You get 10% off your first delivery if you live in the LA and Phoenix area. All righty. 49ers, okay? Now, the last couple days, it's the talk. Everybody wants to talk about the third pick because reasonably, and I believe this to be true, Trevor Lawrence has already signed his contract. It's a done deal. I don't know if Jonathan is just dumbfounded by this conversation, or I believe he's frozen up there. Sky, you can confer with me on this one.
I don't.
It's a great freeze, though. It's a great freeze.
It's a bad freeze. It's a bad.
Okay, so
Are we back?
I truly believe that Trevor Lawrence is signed his contract, and now the Jets are on the clock. This happened in 1989 with the Dallas Cowboys. They chose to pick Troy Aikman. The team picking second was now on the clock. Jets seemingly look like they're going to take Zach Wilson out of BYU. And that puts the 49ers in an unbelievable position, a position that they made happen with trading away a ton of picks and capital to get to number 3, to take a player they wanted. So we watch and listen to all these stories around, they've narrowed it down to Mac Jones and Trey Lance. There's another story out there that Kyle Shanahan wants Mac Jones, but the scouting department and the front office want Trey Lance. None of that's true, people. They don't move. They don't make this kind of trade unless they fell in love with somebody and that's who they were going to pick. So all of the people out there that are speculating whether or not it's going to be, that's on us. Yeah, we don't know who it's going to be. San Francisco 49ers know who's going to be the third overall pick if it falls the way it's supposed to. If it goes Trevor, if it goes Zach, it's going to be a quarterback and one that the 49ers have already decided on. It's not this thing that's up in the air. And if it came down to that and they made this move without a unanimous choice with one another, they are absolutely in complete dysfunction. It would have been a terrible move on their part, giving up all that without having the knowledge of who that's going to be. Now, question is, who is it going to be? Is it going to be Mac Jones? Is it going to be Trey Lance? Is it going to be Justin Fields? Those are the 3 quarterbacks, most likely. Mac Jones' name, since this move was made, has skyrocketed to the front. A lot of people can't believe it. It's hard for me to believe it. It wouldn't shock me at all if he went number 3 overall. What are your guys' thoughts on the nonsense speculation that continues to go on in the media around whether or not they have their guy in place already, or who this guy's going to be?
Well, first of all, I think it's been smoked for a while. So a couple things, Ryan, I want to unpack here. I'm asking you to be clear. Who makes the decision? I assume would be the GM, but who makes the decision for a franchise to actually make trades with other teams in the draft? It would be the GM, correct?
Right. It's John Lynch during this process but he has worked really closely with Kyle Shanahan and people in the front office when he makes these moves.
Of course. So I'm bringing that up just to kind of dispel this rumor that these guys are on opposite sides of the table. First of all, they have a great relationship the last 3 years, regardless. Secondly, I find it very, very unlikely that Kyle Shanahan wanted a guy who runs the offense and John Lynch wanted another guy, and John Lynch went over the top of Kyle Shanahan and said, nope, sorry, we've decided, here's the move we're going to make because we want to pick a guy, and Shanahan stuck with his hands dirty. There's no chance.
Yeah, that relationship isn't long for a good one, if that's the case.
Agree. And all evidence until that particular hypothetical situation has been nothing but roses. So that just doesn't make sense to me at all. Another thing with Mac Jones specifically, the Niners originally were at pick 12 before they moved to number 3. There's certainly a multitude of situations where Mac Jones falls to number 12 just naturally, just with the way the rest of the draft happens. Mac Jones falls to 12 and they pick him. And at that value, I think it's an excellent score for them. No problem. But for them to move up to number 3 makes me think that they moved off of Mac Jones. And there's the conversation of Jimmy Garoppolo and Mac Jones being similar style quarterbacks. Last point I want to make, because I've been actually diving into this quite a bit. I am a 49er fan. I've been asked about this constantly in the fantasy football circle, but also just as Niner fans from my friends. So I dove a little deeper. John Beck is a former NFL quarterback, went to BYU, played for 6 seasons. He played for then offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan in Washington. He's now a private quarterback coach. He and Shanahan are still very close. Shanahan asked him specifically to scout and work with this offseason Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, and Trey Lance, not Mac Jones. So either Mac Jones has already been plenty scouted by the Niners or he's not in the cards. Either way, all this is adding up to Mac Jones is not the guy for the 49ers.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Mac Jones.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. And
Jay Glazer, is my NFL guy, and his best friend is John Lynch. And I got a little emoji last night with a picture of mac and cheese. I don't know how to read into that, but
is there any chance, Ryan, that Zach Wilson doesn't go to New York?
I thought so for a while. I wouldn't have been, because I think Justin Fields is the best quarterback in the draft after Trevor Lawrence. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't have surprised me if we heard the commissioner call out Justin Fields' name. Closer and closer we get to it, I find that more difficult. I feel like they like Zach Wilson. It fits in line with kind of the quarterback they've chosen over time, right? And I suspect that's where it's going to go. Okay. If I'm San Francisco in that spot, and you got a chance to grab Justin Fields at 3, who I think is the second best overall quarterback, and if I'm Justin Fields, I'm hoping for that to be bypassed by New York, and you end up with an actual team that has a chance to win now.
Yep, I agree.
I think that's a no-brainer. It's going to be my mock draft when we release these on Wednesday. To give you a little peek into it. And, a lot of scouts I've talked to, there aren't many out there that have Trey Lance with a first-round grade. That's how in love people are with quarterbacks, that they're willing to really reach for a guy who doesn't have a first-round grade. Now, don't get me wrong, Baker Mayfield in that year, there was only 2 teams that I heard that had him with a first-round grade. And of course, John Dorsey and the Cleveland Browns just fell absolutely in love with him and went forward and drafted the number 1 overall. All it takes is one. And if the San Francisco 49ers fell in love with Mac Jones and what he can do in that offense and what Steve started, and don't forget, people, right? Steve was the one that took over for Kyle in Atlanta and broke records after Kyle had broke records with Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and all those guys the next year. If you look back on what Matt Ryan did the year after the Super Bowl, wow, juggernaut numbers on Steve Sarkisian's offense. And that's what Mac Jones ran to a perfected T this past year. So
do you see Mac Jones as a start now quarterback? And I ask that because they do have Jimmy Garoppolo, who has been battling injuries, but is the starter today. Do you think this is actually a competition with whoever they bring in, or are they basically just waiting out the rookie to be ready and then trading Jimmy, or just have him become the backup?
No. Their plan is to play Jimmy Garoppolo. When he plays 16 games for the San Francisco 49ers, guess what happens?
Super Bowl.
When he doesn't, when he plays 6 games and 3 games, then it's a different story. So you draft a guy that's capable of playing if needed to, but their hope is that Jimmy stays healthy, they protect him, and they have a similar season they did a few years ago. And when the time comes to make the big play down the stretch, he gets it done. He doesn't overthrow the wide receiver to win the Super Bowl. That's their hope. They believe he's capable of doing it. And if he's not, the guy they draft is going to be the next in line. Whether that it comes this year or whether that comes next year, there's really 2 years left on Jimmy Garoppolo's contract if you truly wanted to play it out. So, people forget Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years behind Brett Favre before he got the go-ahead. They drafted Jordan Love a year ago, and it seemed like the biggest mistake in the world. But Aaron Rodgers has 2 years left on his contract. That would be 3 years, and then Jordan Love would get handed the keys. And it wouldn't look so foolish then if he becomes a star. It looks foolish now because they were probably a couple players away in that NFC Championship game against the Bucs, and they couldn't get it done. And that may have been changed with maybe they took Antoine Winfield Jr. late in the first round rather than the Bucs did in the early second round. Right? He was the game changer this season for the Bucs. If you're watching the draft Thursday night, crack open a cold Athletic Brew, people. This is Upside Down, a light beer, non-alcoholic beer. Go to Athletic Brew Without Compromise. Go to athleticbrewing.com. Click on the link, and you'll get 10% off your first 2 orders of 6-packs. I love it. It's a great alternative to not having to deal with the consequences of what comes with alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. I haven't had a drink in over 9 years. I tell people I'm allergic, and they get a kick out of it. And really, I'm like, yeah, I break out in handcuffs, and they get a big old chuckle out of it. It's a good way to, lighten the tension when, it just seems odd to people when you don't drink, because they just say people assume that there's something wrong with you or something. I mean, alcohol is such an institution in our country. Athletic Brewing is a healthy alternative for that. So grateful for them to be a sponsor of our show. And it really enhances an experience. It really does. You don't have to deal with all the consequences that come with, altering your mood. Essentially, that's what it is. You alter your mood, and sometimes you know why you're doing it, and that's okay. And sometimes you can't control it. And this is a healthy alternative. athleticbrew.com. Go there, click on the link, get 10% off your first delivery of 6-packs to your house. All right, halfway through the show, boys. The next one I wanted to talk about is the Atlanta Falcons. Okay? They pick at number 4. And I've been thinking about this for the last couple weeks. They're the linchpin in what happens and how this goes with the decision they make. Now, if they take a quarterback, then there are going to be a bunch of teams behind that are going to try to make moves with the Cincinnati Bengals at 5, with the Miami Dolphins at 6, or the Detroit Lions at 7 to get up there and get that 5th quarterback, because there's only going to be one left. And if you feel like you need to fill that need, there are going to be teams that do it. Now, if they decide to trade back and get a defensive player, because that's what they need, because that's where they're really, really bad at right now, not offense, but defense, and a team moves up there to draft a quarterback at 4, let's say like the Denver Broncos at 9, or the New England Patriots at 15, then again, teams are going to move up again, maybe talking to those teams. Now, what I think is going to happen is I believe that the Atlanta Falcons are going to take Kyle Pitts, best player possible, and really the transcendent position in the NFL right now. What George Kittle's and Travis Kelce have done to offenses at the hybrid kind of wide receiver tight end position, they've made a huge difference in the NFL. Now, I don't normally recommend that because what Atlanta needs and what they desperately need is a defensive player. And there's some great corners in J.C. Horn, in Patrick Surtain II, Asante Samuel Jr., the young man out of Northwestern. There's some great corners available, and there's some good pass rushers as well that are available that you could change your defensive dynamic. But if you could add Kyle Pitts to that already potent offense with Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Todd Gurley, I mean, but if you can score 40 points and give up 44, what does it really matter? So it will be really, really interesting. If they decide to go with Kyle Pitts or whoever else in that position that's not a quarterback, and there's those 2 quarterbacks left out of the 5, there's a really, really good chance that the dominoes fall and we don't see a quarterback taken again until maybe the middle of the round or even into the 20s, or who knows. There may be a team that reaches. I was looking at, now this was a great mock draft today. And the reason why I like this mock draft, it's done with the LA Times and Sam Farmer. And what he does is he gets every beat writer from every home team. So these are the guys that are in the trenches every single day with these teams, with these general managers, with the players, everybody. So they're probably the closest. Now, of course, no one knows for sure, but I really take what they have to say into consideration and consider it highly, because they're about as close to these teams as you can get. So they went through their mock draft today, and no surprise, right? Now, when I read off these names, you need to know that the people that are talking about it are the beat writers for those teams. Okay, you guys understand like what I'm talking about. All right, so Jacksonville took Trevor Lawrence. This is maybe and what I already said, I think the contract's already done. New York Jets took Zach Wilson. No surprise. San Francisco 49ers, and this is coming from the San Francisco beat writer, the guys around John Lynch and around Kyle Shanahan a ton in this front office. San Francisco 49ers select quarterback Mac Jones, Alabama, at 3. 4, the Atlanta Falcons select quarterback Justin Fields, Ohio State. Now, this one surprises me a lot because it is the Atlanta beat writer. So he must know something more. I've talked to a pretty close, secure friend of mine who knows Arthur Smith really closely, and he is an absolute love with Matt Ryan. And he believes he has plenty of years left to do the things he needs to do in that offense. So it would surprise me if they wasted a number 4 overall draft pick for a quarterback that may not play for at least 2 seasons and maybe even more. But there you go. That's a really close individual. Cincinnati Bengals select Jamar Chase.
Right when you had that face. Right when you had that
LSU.
face, I knew it was Jamar Chase. Right when you had that face, I knew you were about to say Jamar Chase.
Vetoing football forever if that happens.
What?
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Listen to the write-up, too. Listen to the write-up on this, guys, all right? I mean, it's even telling you, like, this is bullshit, but we're doing it anyway. All right, the Bengals need to upgrade their below-average offensive line. But anything that comes after but means nothing.
Doesn't mean anything.
Always.
Doesn't mean
But
anything.
the opportunity to get Chase is something the team doesn't want to pass up. Chase and Joe Burrow were an explosive 1-2 punch at LSU during the Tigers' 2019 National Championship run. This isn't fucking college, people. The Bengals want to ignite the same firepower in Cincinnati and bolster their receiving corps. If this happens, we're most likely to be doing a live show that night. I may just walk off, and I may not come back, guys. It just may turn into the Jonathan Sky Charlie show. We'll just call it the Moss show. Maybe we'll call it the Moss show.
So you're telling me the Bengals would get the bat if they draft Jamar Chase?
Oh God, they're gonna yeah. I may just smash the computer in front of everybody on national TV. All right, so number 6, the Miami Dolphins take Kyle Pitts, Florida. Wow, if he falls to 6. For Tua, wow, that could be huge.
Could be sick.
Detroit Lions, offensive tackle, Penei Sewell, Oregon. He falls to 7. Wow.
Travesty.
Wow. Number 8, Carolina Panthers take cornerback, Patrick Surtain II, Alabama. Like that. They found their quarterback, bolster their defense. He is a stud. The percentage in college that he left in terms of incompletion, unreal. Unreal for a corner who has so many snaps since he played as a freshman, all the way since he was a freshman. Number 9, the Denver Broncos select quarterback Trey Lance, North Dakota State. Now, our friend Benjamin Albright doesn't believe this will happen. And he's friend of the show. I tend to buy into him a little bit more. If Fields and Surtain are off the board, the expectation is new general manager George Patton trades down. But the Broncos were one of only a few teams that attended both of Lance's pro days. Oh, wow. That tells me right now that they're going to take him. No, I'm with them. I'm trading back, or I'm taking a defensive player there. Number 10, the Dallas Cowboys go with cornerback J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. Like that pick. It's what they should have done a year ago and taken a corner. Instead, they took CeeDee Lamb, which was meaningless. It was just another Ferrari for Jerry Jones to drive around in and lose a bunch of games. Okay. 11, the New York Giants select wide receiver Devontae Smith, Alabama. Goes to the cold, the frigid cold, weighing 166 pounds. There's a bunch of talk about his size and the next level. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I really, really don't. We'll see. Those corners are exceptionally physical at the next level and are much bigger, but I don't know. I mean, it's a great pick, but is this what the Giants need? Do they have a quarterback? I don't think so. Do they have a running back? Yeah. Do they have the offensive lineman to protect the quarterback? That's the big question because there's a bunch of offensive linemen available here too.
Well, yeah, they also just signed Kenny Golladay in the offseason as well. So you don't necessarily need Devontae Smith in this situation.
I continue to not get why you want a stable of wide receivers. Now I get you need a couple, but I mean
Slayton and Shepard are fine.
Yeah, they're dimes a dozen.
Yeah,
they are.
Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, and now Kenny Golladay. They've established wide receivers in the NFL.
Evan Ingram, they have plenty of pass.
12 overall. Philadelphia Eagles select wide receiver Jalen Waddle. Back-to-back Alabama wide receivers coming off an injury last year. Considered maybe the best receiver in the draft probably a year ago if he comes out. Philly, they've made a lot of mistakes passing on some wide receivers, in particular last year passing on Justin Jefferson. Moving to 12 and they can still get their guy here. You know, Jalen Hurts thrown to a guy he knows. I don't mind it, though. They really need to bolster their offensive lineman. And guess what happens right at 13? The Los Angeles Chargers select offensive tackle Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern. The big,
it's a good move.
Hefty. Now, boy, they've improved that offensive line in Los Angeles. Justin Herbert's going to be like a big, beautiful statue back there, tossing that pill around all over the field. That's an offensive lineman that could go to Philly, which is what they need. Lane Johnson, we don't know where we're at with that. 14, Minnesota. They go offensive tackle as well. Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. Love it. Again, this show is all about – I don't know why we don't have more offensive line like guests on this show. We probably should get Jeff Schwartz on. Just a thought. We love offensive linemen, people. We love quarterbacks. We love guys that rush the quarterback. You all need to know that. 15, New England Patriots. I do think the Patriots will be in play for one of the quarterbacks, and I do think one or two of them may fall down the draft a bit. But the Patriots need depth on defense, and they select linebacker Zaven Collins out of Tulsa, leading tackler in college football a year ago.
Kind of a Micah Parsons
guy. Yes, that's what they say. Micah Parsons has fallen down a lot of people's draft boards. 16, the Arizona Cardinals select Greg Newsome II from Northwestern to fill Patrick Peterson's spot on the corner. We go to 17. The Las Vegas Raiders select linebacker Micah Parsons out of Penn State. Parsons comes with some red flags thanks to some maturity issues that have surfaced during the evaluation process. But the Raiders desperately need a defensive playmaker and game changer, and Parsons is the only player in this draft that provides that possibility. Furthermore, they feel comfortable. Their infrastructure is sound enough to smooth over any rough edges. That's a bunch of shit. They do not have the infrastructure there. They are a combustible time bomb, I think, right now in Las Vegas. All right, 18, Miami Dolphins go with Najee Harris, running back out of Alabama.
So high.
That makes sense, but I thought that would happen in the second round.
I thought that would happen in the second round, too.
That's early, I think. That's early.
He's a dynamic player. He can
he's a beast.
He can be a three down player.
33, 34.
Right.
18.
Well, I like him. I like him in that spot. I just wasn't expecting it to be in the first round. I was thinking second
Harris
round.
is the second coming of Le'Veon Bell. Well, that's a lot. A big back who runs with vision and has phenomenal hands. He'll be the perfect complement to Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins' RPO-based offense, helping the Dolphins usher in a new era.
Myles Gaskin isn't getting it done.
It's the Crimson Tide era. That's what it is.
I guess. 19, Washington football team selects linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Notre Dame. There you go. Got a 3-4 linebacker rush the passer. I like that with Washington. That defense is going to be something special, boys. That is going to be a good defense. Number 20, the Chicago Bears select offensive tackle Tevin Jenkins.
Woohoo!
State. All right. We get another offensive lineman in the mix. Desperate for a quarterback as any team in the draft, but this first-round chessboard did not unfold in their favor. Good news is they'll have other major net needs. Maybe Davis Mills falls to them later in round 2. Who knows? Indianapolis Colts take edge rusher Jalen Phillips out of Miami. Number 22, the Tennessee Titans take defensive tackle Christian Barmore, Alabama. Another Alabama defensive
Dude's an animal.
player, once again. Number 23, the New York Jets, in their second pick in the first round, take a Pac-12 offensive lineman in guard/tackle Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC to protect the new quarterback in Zach Wilson. I thought he might go a little earlier to LA, to the Chargers. That could be still a possibility at 13. We'll see how high he goes. Number 24, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are in need of a running back, do that exactly. They go get running back Travis Etienne out of Clemson.
He's more Le'Veon Bell than Najee Harris.
That's what I think too.
No,
That's what I thought he would have called.
I think Etienne's more like a Camara. I'm not gonna lie. That's a hero.
He could be. He's a freak, but he got shut down sometimes last year. That made me. That game against Notre Dame in South Bend, I was astonished on how he was just irrelevant, and also in that Ohio State game. The Steelers were the worst running team in the league last year and have been near the bottom for the past 3. Ben Roethlisberger is 39 and no longer going to carry the team. The Steelers need balance, and a great running back is more pressing concern than an offensive lineman. Horse shit! They lost 3 offensive linemen. You need to go get an offensive lineman to protect Ben, because if he's getting smoked, it's not going to matter. You lost your center, who was Ben's for the last 11 years. You lost your left tackle. You lost your right guard. You're in trouble. You better build back up that. You don't need a running back to do that process, all right? 25, Jacksonville Jaguars go with an edge rusher, Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia. All right? They stay ACC, SEC. Cleveland Browns at 26. Very, very foreign for them to be drafting so high. I don't know if they'll panic at the last minute and go, I don't know, we probably have to get a quarterback, right? That's all we ever do every year. But no, they're going to go cornerback Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. How about that? 2 first-rounders out of Virginia Tech. Pretty impressive.
That's a steal if they get him that late.
Well, and they have
27. Go ahead.
I was just going to say they have Grant Delpit coming back this year, who was out all of last year. So the Browns
secondary is amazing.
The secondary is going to be looking really good this year.
Well, it needs to. That was the deficit for them last year for sure. 27, the Baltimore Ravens take edge rusher Kwity Paye out of Michigan.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. They lost their 2 top edge rushers in Matthew Judon and Yannick Ngakoue in free agency, and they're targeted this draft as a good place to get a much-needed help on the edge. Paye is a dynamic athlete who brings pass rushing juice and holds his own against the run. John Harbaugh knows somebody at Michigan who would give him a good scouting report too. That's his brother, by the way, everybody. 28, the New Orleans Saints select edge rusher Joe Tryon out of Washington. This one surprised me a little bit. You know, he is a special-looking player, but he doesn't have a lot of, they're in need of a corner, a linebacker, or an edge rusher. Tryon will fit the need. His playing style has been compared to current Saints defensive end Marcus Davenport, meaning Tryon hasn't quite reached his ceiling yet. All right. Green Bay Packers take inside linebacker Jamin Davis out of Kentucky. Kentucky was very good defensively a year ago. If this is what they need defensively to give them another stop and let Aaron Rodgers get the ball back, there you go. Buffalo Bills at 30 take edge rusher Jason Ouch. How do you say it? Ouch. Penn State. Ouch. Oh, sorry. It's O-W-E-H. They put a C in there, it looks like. He did not have any sacks during the 2020 season, but a closer look reveals he applied plenty of pressure. The Bills can bring him down slowly behind Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison, banking on his physical skills and NFL coaching, turning him into a better pro. Baltimore Ravens at 31 take offensive tackle and guard Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama to protect after they just got rid of Zeus.
Ravens.
No, that's the Baltimore Ravens. They just got rid of Zeus, Orlando Brown, and now they have to replace him. Alex Leatherwood looks like he could be that guy. Number 32, The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do? Quarterback, Davis Mills, Stanford. No, I'm just fucking with you. All right. Defensive lineman, Gregory Rousseau out of Miami. All right. So that's what the beat writers did. I really like this mock draft because it's all the beat writers around the country. Sam Farmer, a good friend of mine, puts this together a couple days out before the draft. And during this draft, when they do that, they all sit around and they eat some bland eggs and, bland food. And I immediately tell them, hey, fellas, try some Bomb Banana, all right? Bomb Banana is a hot sauce made from bananas, not banana flavoring. Don't get it twisted, all right? Bomb Banana delivers exceptional and robust chili spice to all your meals. Culinary crafted recipes are low calorie, which is beyond perfect for athletes who want to incorporate restaurant quality flavor in their meals. There's two types, the Muy Muy in the red and in the red logo bottle, and of course the white logo bottle, which is a little less spicy. All right, can't go wrong with either. Favorite thing about Bomb Banana is it's a food that you can put the sauce on. Their website is seekthespice.com. That's seekthespice.com, all one word. And today you can receive 10% off your first order by using the promo code LEAF, LEAF, like on a tree. Check it out. Bomb Banana hot sauce, absolutely fantastic. Beyond excited to be working together. Put it on my eggs this morning, boys. All right. So our question of the day. Oh, before we get into that, I just wanted to, I got my vaccine yesterday, right? I got my vaccine yesterday, my second one. And, it kicked my butt a little bit, but I mean, just there's like a calmness that is coming over me, right? And we heard recently from, the MVP of the league, pretty much, Patrick Mahomes, that he got the vaccine because he's got a young daughter at home and he wants to care for her safety and everything. But he did say something after he said that's why he did it. He said, this is a personal choice for people, and they got to take into consideration whether or not they want to get the vaccination. And I get it. I don't know if it helps that the voice of the NFL is like, he's not anti-vax, but he's like, you know what? Who knows if this works or not? I think it does, so I'm going to go forward with it, and doesn't really bode with the science, because if we don't start getting more people vaccinated, we're not going to be able to hit herd immunity. And if that's the case, this could go on for, who knows how long. I understand the rushing it to market. And a lot of times this is put in constant research for years because we don't know the long-term effects of not only the disease, but also maybe of the vaccine, especially around fertility issues and things like that. So I get it. But there's a faith-based thing here for me. It really is. It's based in faith and in science. And I feel at ease having done it. And when the opportunities came to vaccinate my son with polio and whooping cough and all the things that people have been doing for ages, I did it. So it surprised me. That's all. Question of the day, everybody. Should Madison Bumgarner 7 innings of no-hit pitching be considered a true no-hitter? Jonathan, you say no, my friend.
Let's do the round of what people say, and then let's argue
about it. All right, here we go. Hell no to the no-no from Rob Berger, our buddy. Hell to the no-no. Bill Powell, I say deserves a double asterisk since it went through the game and the game was called. Okay. Asterisks are meaningless in my mind. So I don't necessarily agree with that. It's either is or it's not. What do you guys? So Jonathan, you're very adamant about this because of this low percentage of what no hitters are, and a lot of them are, ultimately given up in the 8th and 9th inning. So expand.
Partially. I mean, well, why don't you guys? That's the basis. I have a lot of meat to that argument, but I want you guys to express your opinions first. That way, I can loop back around.
Mine is simply this: if the rules are that's the full length of a game, then in my mind it's a no hitter because he pitched the whole full length of a game and he didn't allow a hit. So the rules state that game is 7 innings long, and therefore it's a no hitter for me. That's the way I interpret it as a player, and that's the way I look at it.
I agree with Ryan. I also, even though rules are rules, and I get it, but I agree with Ryan. I also think that even though it was 7 innings, which is shorter than the usual 9, it was not Madison's fault or problem. He did not give a hit up in the 8th. We don't know if he would have gotten through the 8th and the 9th, but the fact that he got through the entire game of which it was set up is the 7 innings, and to me, that matters. He almost had a perfect game, by the way, outside of an error from one of his teammates, too. So, in my opinion, it should stay. Asterisks are weird. That's a whole other argument, but I think in this case, it should say 7 innings and count.
I mean,
all right, that's 2-0. Let's hear the dissenting comments here, I believe.
I'm just gonna say I'm with Jonathan. I don't think it should be. I mean, I understand that when there's a doubleheader, they want to make the games a little shorter, do 7 innings. But at the end of the day, like, you need to get the 27 outs. You're getting 21, and you're not finishing the game. And a lot of the times we've seen no hitters cancel out in the 8th or 9th inning. Again, I don't want to take anything away from his greatness. Mad Bum pitched awesome. He's a legend, but I don't think we should consider them no hitters if they're only 7 innings.
So,
Mr. Rifkin, your argument, please.
Mr. Rifkin was my grandfather. Thank you very much. So I don't think you guys are looking at it from the perspective of the players playing in the game, right? And I get it. That's a special performance. It should be awarded with some sort of there should be an accolade attached to this performance. The problem is and the reason that this rule was created in 1995 was because the rarity of no hitters, like, it's such a special event that you can't just, like, you're not going to slap the word superstar on players, right? You're not going to slap the word all, like, there's certain verbiage that you associate with elements of athletics, right? And in baseball, a perfect game is as hard as they come. A no hitter is the next thing, right? That's the flush to your royal flush. Fine, do it, but I'm also right. Matt Vasgersian agrees with me, and when you look at the history, right, there's like over 150 modern era baseball pitchers who have had no hitters going into the 8th and to the 9th and have blown them, and it sucks.
Of course.
But that just shows how much harder it is. So if you're not going to give them the credit through 7 innings, then if the 7-inning game is completed, there's no reason to credit it to Madison Bumgarner. There's just not, because you're just devaluing what it actually means to get those 27 outs.
Okay, Jonathan, so can I add on to that really quick and go the other side of this? Would you have a similar argument if you went into extra innings and a batter had, say, hit a 5th home run someday, or hit that 4th home run, magical 4th home run in the 13th inning, or had a 7th hit in the 13th inning, or they struck out 26 batters because of extra innings? To me, that seems like kind of apples and oranges a little bit, because, like, you can go the extended route as well and all these overtime things if it gets cut short, but it wasn't cut short. That's the actual
thing is, Scott,
length of the game.
Whenever you hear somebody say a stat like that happens in extra innings, that's associated with like a single game record, they typically say it was in extra innings, right? That's your asterisk.
Sure. So why not say he threw a no hitter in 7 innings?
You could say he threw a no hitter in 7 innings, but that is not a no hitter.
But that's the point. The point that you have to say 7 innings. The point that you have to say 7 innings.
You have to make.
We'd love to continue this argument because I think it's a good one, but we're not going to because the show is over. And the bat has come out because Madison, keep throwing those 7-inning no-nos, buddy. I'll consider it that, and that's what it will be. On Wednesday, we are going all in on the NFL draft that will go on Thursday. Jonathan, Sky, and myself, along with Charlie Moss, will have our mock drafts, and we will read them off to you just as the commissioner does on Thursday night. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for being a part of the show. We'll see you on Wednesday at 12:30 Pacific here on YouTube from Jonathan, Sky, and myself. Plus Charlie Moss. I always forget Charlie sometimes. He's at the bottom there. Have a great day. We'll see you on Wednesday.